Working in retail is an absolute nightmare, and if you've never actually had to work a retail job, then these stories are going to give you a good example of just how bad it is. Hello and welcome to another episode of Soup Saturday. My name is Rec, and today we've got another soup for you. The soup of the day is Old Bay seasoned clam chowder. To be honest with you, as far as I know, I've never had Old Bay seasoning in my entire life. This soup smells amazing, and I cannot wait to eat this. And while we try out that soup, we're going to read some Reddit stories of retail nightmare experiences. Now let's try this soup. It smells fantastic. I don't know what Old Bay really is. It smells immaculate. It smells way better than normal clam chowder, too. Ooh, it's got a little bit of a tang to it. This is a thick soup. This is a heavy soup. There's a lot of potatoes in that. A customer brought me a snake. At work? So I have a tattoo on my arm of a snake, which generally leads to questions about it, and if I like snakes, or I'll be talking with coworkers about my snake as I own 6. There's an older gentleman who loves to come in for daily lotto scratch-offs and tickets, and he usually is asking everyone if they want mushrooms he foraged himself or not. This guy sounds wild. This guy, he's just living life. Today he came in asking about snakes to me, and if I like them. I answered yes, and he said, "You'll get a snake one day." Like, yeah, I have 6, I know. Go about my day as I would because work. This guy comes in later and says, "I got you a snake," and brings in a to-go plastic box with a mushroom, some grass, some fish and worms, and a tiny snake in this thing. I'm shocked, just, what? And he hands me the to-go box and says, "I caught him eating my fish. Here you go." And it's this tiny DeKay's brown snake, native to my area. So now I have a tiny snake that I'm going to release in my yard instead because just what even? I'm not even sure how to respond to that because what even? So yeah, my last 2 to 3 hours had a tiny angry snake next to me as I'm checking out customers at the gas station. I took pics so I can share still. That would be crazy to walk into a gas station and just see somebody chilling with a snake. But also, how do you just catch a snake and then bring it into somebody while they're working and just force them to take this snake? This is crazy. Did you also not tell this guy that you already have 6? I feel like you probably could have avoided this if you just told him you already had a snake when he said that you'll get one day. This is a wild man, though. I've definitely seen some people when I worked in retail that fit this description. Just the people that come in every day and just buy scratch tickets are a different type of human being. They're just a different breed. Foraging mushrooms, kind of cool. That's a cool skill to have, I'm not going to lie. But just randomly brings you a snake. At least he was nice. At least he wasn't mean to you. If he tried to be nice, brought you a nice little gift. Unfortunately, it had to be a snake while you're at work. Bringing anybody, any animal, and just making them take it while they're at work is kind of crazy. Imagine if this wasn't a snake. Like, what, can we do this with, like, guinea pigs? At least you were in a gas station, though. I feel like gas stations that nobody really cares. They're just kind of this weird liminal space where, anything can happen. It's like a Walmart, all the weird people kind of are just there at weird times doing all kinds of crazy things. It's one of those spots. I love the idea that the snake's probably just pissed off, though, because it was just going about its day trying to get some lunch, and then this guy just brought it to you in a to-go box. And he found the snake, like, where did he acquire this snake? Eating my fish. Must have been on his property. He must have fish on his property or something. It's got a little bit of a kick to it. Is that what Old Bay is supposed to do? Huge chunks of potato. Wedding flowers. In a rich area of town, a bride ordered $3,000 worth of flowers from a grocery chain. Good luck. I watched the workers work overnight and even call in help from other locations to help get this order done on time. It was a prepaid order and everything looked so beautiful. The team goes and delivers it to her venue. Now, mind you, it's a grocery store. The team had to use their personal vehicle. It took many trips. It gets delivered to her venue, and the team lead tells the venue they need to be refrigerated. Well, the venue said no because they were setting up for the event now. The wedding was in the morning the next day. We don't know what happened to the flowers after that, but the bride calls in the next day, hysterical, stating we ruined her whole day because the flowers died. Flowers do not die in one day, not even a day overnight. She ended up dragging it out with no photo proof and was refunded the full amount back. We were all shocked. Now, several years later, I wonder if that couple is still married or not. So this wasn't even your fault. This was literally the venue's fault. The venue definitely just threw them in some back corner and they just died. It was probably hot. There's flowers that will die overnight if you don't refrigerate them. Like, did they get crushed? Like, it sounds like they got way more than just wilted overnight. That's the venue's fault, though. The venue should know better than that. And whoever was working that day definitely just did not care. But this is the kind of stuff you deal with. You get people that just, even if it's not your fault, they're going to just make it your fault when you work in retail. They'll just absolutely rip you apart for it. And then most of the time, it works out like this, where they just give them the money anyways. They just give them back $3,000 for the flowers, which is crazy. When I worked in retail, I saw a lot of things just kind of get, got to keep the customer happy, so just kind of get refunded to them when they really shouldn't have been. But $3,000 for flowers, that's a lot of flowers, especially from a grocery store. That's a lot of money, and that's a lot of flowers. That sucks too for the workers that had to use their personal vehicles for this, because I'm pretty sure they probably were part of the group that got yelled at. These people probably got divorced like a year later. So you know that they threw a big stink about it, and that they just, they probably didn't even try to contact the venue. They probably just immediately went to the grocery store and blamed the workers there instead of contacting the venue where they were at. So I don't really taste any clam, if I'm going to be honest with you. Pretty much just tastes like potato with Old Bay seasoning on it. My first experience with a potential drug addict. If you work in retail, you're going to come across a lot of drug addicts. So if this is your first experience, buckle up. For context, I work at a gas station called Huck's. This is important later. I came into work today, and there was this lady who said she was waiting for a ride. Hours pass and I'm doing my job like normal, and the whole time this lady is sitting down talking on the phone. I got up to vacuum the rugs and she came up to me and asked me a question. I didn't quite hear her correctly and I thought I heard her say the word partying. I asked her, "Did you say partying?" She got mad at me and walked away. A while later, I was sweeping the floor. I walked past her and I heard her say these exact words. "Those 3 tall boys smoking cigars with Joe Rogan are my sons." More time passes and she's still there. Comes up to the counter and asks for a pack of cigarettes and a lighter. I get them and ring them up like normal. She then shows me her ID and tells me to just leave it there, and then proceeds to walk out with the cigs and lighter without paying. I follow her trying to explain the situation, and she thinks we were supposed to give her the cigarettes for free because she thinks she's at Thornton's, the gas station she claimed to work at. Apparently they have some kind of free cigs thing that I don't know anything about, but this lady is out of her mind. I got my coworker involved. She called the cops, and I stayed at the register until she was arrested. Did this lady just get arrested for trying to steal cigarettes? I don't know that she necessarily needed to be arrested. Probably just needed to be checked on. But yeah, usually, if you get customers that linger around stores or whatever for multiple hours at a time, I never really understood that. I don't even want to go to the store for the things that I need to go for. Like, I'll go grocery shopping, and it'll take me about 20, 30 minutes. I don't even want to be there for that 20, 30 minutes. So these people that just go to gas stations or go into grocery stores and other places like that and just literally wander around the entire day, there's got to be something wrong with them, because I don't understand the appeal of wanting to just wander around a store. Especially if you're going to wander around like this and just kind of mumble weird things to yourself and get mad at people and then try to steal cigarettes. Probably not the best thing to be doing. Those 3 tall boys smoking cigars with Joe Rogan are my sons. What does this even mean? What 3 tall boys? She was waiting for a ride, all right, to the police station. I'm really curious if her ride ever showed up and she was just gone. Or if there was even a ride to begin with. There most likely wasn't. There probably wasn't, was there? The fact that this woman didn't even know what gas station she was at, you did that? A few years ago, I used to work for a grocery store company out of state. So many wild moments came from this job, but one day I go into the store and it's slammed. The place looks like a tornado came through and knocked everything over on the shelves. As I'm passing by the grocery basket rack, there's one basket flipped upside down on the floor next to it. I go over to pick it up, and underneath is this pile of broken glass. A bunch of items had fallen off the shelf, and someone had literally just covered it up with a basket. I walk back to the back office and wake up my boss, and I tell him some absolute effing jackass broke something and didn't tell anyone and literally covered it up with a basket. He looks down somberly and says, "I did that." Apparently he bumped into the shelf and literally forgot he never cleaned it up. Let's take a step back for a sec. You had to wake up your boss at a grocery store? He was just sleeping in the back office? That's wild. I honestly wouldn't put it past, some of the people that I've seen just sleeping in the back the entire day. Pretty much all the managers in retail, from what I can tell, are just kind of miserable people. A lot of them are just really depressed and like alcoholics. To just go in the back and just fall asleep instead of immediately picking up the glass is kind of crazy. That's just the next level of just being lazy. Dude has the memory of a chipmunk. Already forgot when, you know what? What was I doing? I'm gonna go take a nap. But this happens a lot. Things, people in retail, especially customers, usually this is something that I would expect from the customers, is to just break stuff and then not tell anybody because it's not their problem anymore. Customers will sometimes just not notice things, and it's absolutely crazy to me that, I feel like people go in grocery stores or go in retail stores and they just don't use their eyes. They just most of the time they also are just looking at the floor, which is why they bump into things and break things. But this being from your manager, kill that man. It's starting to taste a little too salty. Customer left me questioning my sanity. He wouldn't accept the fact that a basket was white. I live in a European country and I work part-time at a grocery store. Hopefully full-time someday when I'm not suffering from 8+ diagnoses anymore. You think you have 8+ diagnoses now? If you go full-time working retail, you're going to have more than that. Most of them are going to be mental illness related. I was at a shelf doing the usual stuff. An elderly male customer walked over to me with a plastic wicker basket and asked me, "Hun, what color is this?" It was 100% white, no nuances, no shade, not a slightly warmer or colder white, just white. So I tried to keep a straight face and gave him the answer. He didn't believe it. He kept thinking it cannot possibly be white. He just wouldn't accept the truth. I had to send him to the manager. I just couldn't deal with it. He kept insisting that the basket wasn't white. He was not blind, I'm absolutely certain. Are there some kind of special color blindness where you cannot see the color white? I don't know. If you're going to work in retail, you just have to be prepared for customers to hit you with the most useless and sometimes insane things that you're going to ever deal with in your life. Why does it even matter the color of the basket? As long as it has a handle and holds the things I'm trying to carry around the store, I really don't care. Just harassing people about dumb things like this is so aggravating. That being said, that's absolutely crazy to just be so hyper-fixated on the color of the basket. These aren't the type of questions that we need to be asking people. Who cares what color the plastic is of the basket? Just shop and get your stuff and go. I worked in retail for only a few years and I had to get out of it before I absolutely lost my mind and ended up in the loony bin. So it tastes way saltier than just normal clam chowder. My favorite thing. One of my favorite things that customers do is that they accidentally break some glass, ceramic, pottery. They then try to pick up the pieces with their bare hands, and then they come and find me, and they try and hand it to me. And then they have to wait with the glass in their hands while I put on my work gloves. It's even better when they try to pick it up, cut themselves, stop trying to pick up the glass, and then proceed to drip blood up and down at least 2 aisles because they don't need a bandage. My wife got me some toilet paper, so not only does someone have to clean up the now bloody glass, but someone, me, also has to block off the aisles and clean up the blood. And during this, the customer is apologizing, and I tell them, it's okay, it happens all the time, though in the future, I'd like you to get an employee instead of try to pick it up with your hands. Thank you. Things like this make you feel like you're working in like a daycare center when you're working in retail and just people are just getting hurt and doing all kinds of stuff like this. just get a worker. It's literally their job, and it makes everybody's lives easier when you just go let them do their job correctly. Just go get someone and have them clean it up. There's usually some sort of either cleaning person or just, staff member nearby. Just find somebody. It's usually the older generations, though, that do stuff like this. They just don't care. Meanwhile, they're just dripping blood across an entire store. There was this one time, I wonder if I can find the photo, where I was working at a grocery store and somebody completely shattered the fridge door. I wonder if I can find the photo of it. If I can find the photo of it, I'm going to put it right here for you guys. But they just shouldn't allow glass in retail stores because customers should not be trusted with glass anywhere. Someone replied to this and said I had a guy pick up a snow globe, drop it, sending glass, glitter, and oily liquid everywhere, then tell me it fell, it's defective. Yeah, people also just have the audacity to do this. They just break things and then tell you that it's, the product's fault or the store's fault, or sometimes they even blame you and say that it's your fault when they literally have just completely broken it and obliterated it themselves. A creative theft attempt. My aunt has worked as a cashier in a supermarket for 30 years. And one of her stories particularly stuck to me. One day, as she was scanning products for a woman at her register, the alarm that reacts to security tags going through went off. The customer seemed surprised, as she was still discharging her cart on the conveyor belt, but she stepped away from the alarm, raising her hands to show she had no items. My aunt was very confused, and looking at the alarm devices, nothing seemed to be going through, but the alarm was still going off. As she got up to check more closely, she finally solved the mystery. A toddler was pushing a pressure cooker on the floor through the alarm system, encouraged discreetly by her mom. The unashamed woman ended up paying for the pressure cooker to avoid the cops being called, and was never seen in the store again. Using kids to commit crimes and steal things in stores is just another level of unhinged. I've had people try to steal things, those little scooters that have like the basket on them for people who really can't walk. I've had people shove stuff under the basket and like under the seat and try to steal things and get away with it. Once you involve kids, you're just a scum. Crazy that you thought nobody would notice either. You just look like a terrible parent when, you inevitably get caught. Having them just push it along the floor, they're not even trying to hide it. At least she paid for it and didn't never come back again. I had one guy who tried to steal groceries one night and I stopped him, and then he proceeded to tell me every single time that I saw him from there on, just these little jokes about, oh, remember I was the guy that walked out without paying. I hated that guy. I saw him probably 8 times after that. Remember that one night that I forgot to pay? Shut up. We gotta talk about this soup. Old Bay seasoned clam chowder. This soup wasn't that bad. I'm gonna be honest though, it wasn't as good as I really thought it was gonna be. When I smelled it, when you first microwave the soup and you smell it, the Old Bay seasoning smells fantastic. It smelled great. I haven't really had Old Bay seasoning, so this is kind of my first experience trying it out, is in this soup. It was a little strong. It was wicked salty, a little bit too salty for what I enjoy in a soup. It's got a little bit of a tang, which I can only assume is from the seasoning, but the little bit of tang isn't terrible. There isn't a whole ton of clam taste to this at all. It's really just tastes like potato and Old Bay seasoning, so it's kind of overpowering in that sense. It's not a terrible soup though. It's pretty good if you like chowder. It's got a little bit more seasoning to it, and it's a bit of a mix-up that compared to just normal clam chowder. Very thick and heavy soup though. I like clam chowder though, so it's not a terrible thing to try. It definitely leaves a little bit of a burn kind of in your throat because the seasoning. I'm gonna give this soup a rating. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 7. I'm pretty sure last week's soup was also a 7. It's just another one of those kind of middle ground soups where it's not terrible, but I wouldn't say it's the best. I almost would prefer regular clam chowder over this than this Old Bay seasoned one. It was a good soup to try, and I would probably eat it again if presented to me. 7 out of 10 on the soup. Working in retail is a nightmare, and if you've ever worked in retail, then you probably relate to some of these stories. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Soup Saturday. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe below. Check out some of the other videos we've got coming out. And come back next week and join us. We're going to try out a new soup, talk about some more stuff. We're also now on Spotify, TikTok, And we've been posting to Instagram, so, you know, we're also available on there. So come check us out. Give us a follow. Keep supporting the channel. I appreciate everybody who's been supportive so far. Let's keep it going. New soup each week. Come hang out. That's about all I got. Old Bay seasoned clam chowder, not a bad soup. Thank you again for watching. My name is Rec, and this has been Soup Saturday. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.